Good morning, everybody. This is Grant Sparks from The Grant Sparks Show. Which role will you own in a post-AI world? There are going to be 5 major roles that we as humans will be positioned for as AI consumes most jobs. And as the show goes on, I want to hear from you. Which one are you? Welcome to The Grant Sparks Show. This is episode 349, where we're going to explore your evolving role in a world filled with intelligent machines and AI bots. And that might not be for everyone. It might not be for you. You might not be technically inclined. Today, we're going to be covering, maybe you are technically inclined. There's a job for you, but maybe you're not technology inclined. And if you are not technologically inclined, that's okay. There is a type of job for you too. So today we're tackling the elephant in the room. As AI grows faster and faster, the question is, and there's a lot of nihilism around this, as AI grows faster and faster, a lot of people are wondering, am I as a human worker, is my job just going to be eliminated? And am I just an interface for AI to talk to AI to talk to AI? What's my purpose? What's my job? If you pay attention to any content feeds or anything, you're seeing people are dealing with a lot of existential crisis around this. People are dealing with a lot of fear and concern. And today I'm going to show you 5 different roles, even if you do not have a technology background, that will be empowering for those moving forward. A lot of people are bailing. There's a lot of people that are like, I'm getting out of the city. I'm going to go get my house in the country and live off grid. That's awesome. I believe that that's a hope punk world. That's a cyber future world. And I love that. You can do that. But for a lot of us, we still want to be involved, but we don't have an engineering background. We don't have a technology background. Today in this show, I'm going to show you that there are 5 major roles you can serve for yourself, either as an entrepreneur or an employee, to companies that might not even be technologically driven. Listen, you're hearing all the hype right now from companies that are technologically driven, that have enough money to put together a technology department. That's what you're hearing from in all the headlines right now. But there are tens of thousands of other companies and hundreds of thousands of other jobs that are not just engineering, that are more humanities driven. And I personally believe that as AI takes hold, people will start asking themselves in very important questions, which we're going to cover. And these important questions are questions about meaning and purpose. And so I am more hopeful for the future coming at us pretty quick. And I want to give you some tools on how you can find your place in a post-AI world. I want to show you where the average worker can thrive. I want to show you where the average entrepreneur can thrive. So whether you're an average worker who doesn't have a technology background, or whether you're an entrepreneur wondering existentially what you're going to do, there are plenty of ways for you to thrive, and we're going to be covering that. But before we do anything, if you're watching over there, Flower, I see you over on TikTok. I see you guys over on Twitch. You have to participate in this next stop. This is the only thing you do this morning. Morning cup of gratitude. Grab your cup of coffee and tell me what you're grateful for. Because if you cannot express gratitude, your brain is literally shutting out the world around you, just staying focused on you, and you will miss the opportunities available to you. So I want to hear in the comments, what are you grateful for? What's getting you going this morning? It's Monday. It's beautiful out. It's raining, which means we're going to have a lush greenery out here in Florida. What are you grateful for? And I am going to start. I'm most grateful for creatives, leaders, truth seekers who, even though the world's throwing a lot at you, you're still asking, why? Who am I? What impact I'm making? I absolutely am grateful for that today. What are you grateful for? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what you're grateful for so that I can hype you. And we can share this moment of gratitude together, and that will kick off your day where you're going to start looking for more and more opportunities. That's what I'm grateful for. What are you grateful for? Take 2 seconds. And if you can't, you're emotionally constipated. You're stuck. Because how often in a day does someone say, hey, what are you grateful for? This is that moment to tap that side of you, drop it there. And then again, if you know someone who is feeling like lost on what they're going to do next, they don't have a technological background, they're worried about their jobs, I want you to tag them or share to them, because I have a framework today where I'm going to show them where they can start looking for work that matters in a post-AI world. Let's talk about it. So Real quick, here's the problem that most people are facing, and I think you can empathize with this. Have you experienced this? Have you talked to anyone that's experienced this? Check it out. We're seeing AI grow at a speed and scale that is hard to comprehend. People are lost, and a lot of people are asking what matters. If you're on TikTok, and I see a lot of my TikTok peeps over here, if you scroll TikTok at all, you probably saw this viral video that ran around. The viral video was a gentleman walking with his baby, and he was walking and said, listen, I just turned a corner. I've been highly depressed because my job got cut. I have an engineering background. I don't know what's next. Yes, I could just take on AI, but I'm not really sure that's what I want to do. I don't even know if I want to participate in that world that's moving that fast. He said, but I had a massive revelation. You ready for this? He said, I had a massive revelation, and it's this. My life, hear me on this, stay with me. My life, he said, does not have purpose, but it can have meaning. When we get stuck in this loop that my life has purpose, and suddenly a disruption happens like COVID, like the 2008 real estate crisis, where I lost my job and had to live in my car again, like war, like World War III, like AI. When these things disrupt us, if we are convinced that we have a purpose and it gets derailed, we are setting ourselves up for massive frustration. But if we can accept that there is no purpose, but we can give it meaning, then we can stay nimble and adjust to the outside world and pivot and find our place, even as it seems like. If you're anti-war and the world goes to war, what do you do for work? How do you talk to people, right? If the world is going to AI and you don't have a technological background, where do you go? So this is a major problem for people. And basically, AI is displacing ideas. If you have it as an entrepreneur, you have an idea and you start vibe coding it in Cursor or Bolt.new. I've done this over the last few weeks multiple times, and I've gotten halfway through my project. And then I start looking on the forums and looking on Reddit, and someone already built it. AI is displacing ideas as soon as they happen. You know, when I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2001, yes, I'm an old head, suck it up. In 2001, I would come up with an idea, and it would be months, if not years, before someone would come up with that same idea. I had no competition. And when Bitcoin first came out, and I bought Bitcoin in 2011, and I was living the high life. I was doing good. It wasn't doing much back then, but I was ahead of the curve, and it would take years for people to get on that train. I had that much time ahead. But as you know, AI is displacing ideas as soon as they happen. And so it can be heavy for the average entrepreneur, the average employee trying to keep their resume updated. And here's what's worse. Many people are outsourcing their thinking to AI entirely. Now, I'm using AI almost every second of the day, and I'm down with it. But what we're finding is that as people are, and there's a lot of research, I'm going to drop a link for you on this. As people are using AI more and more, if they don't have access to AI or Google search and you ask them a critical thinking question about something they already delivered to you, they cannot speak to it. They don't understand it because they just took it from AI. And so this research by Gerlich in 2025, and I'm going to drop this link. If you're on some of the feeds, TikTok, you're not going to see this link till later. But I just dropped it on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. You've got it over there. So the link is there. So there's a negative correlation. The more we use AI, the less people can think critically, and it's disconcerting. And this is a tough thing to think, because not only are people's ideas being displaced as soon as they have them, as soon as they think about work. Not only that, but then on top of that, the same people have their cognition load, or it's called cognitive offloading. They're decreasing their ability to think. So it's like a double whammy. But here's what I started thinking about. Is it really that? Or is it just rapid observable evolution? Are people really getting dumber as they're using AI, or are they evolving? And this is what led me to today's framework, where there's a path for work with you in a post-AI world, even if you do not have a technical background. There's a path for you. And so what we want to look at is this. There's a possible path here where most people do not like participating in commodified labor for the powers that be, the wealthy, the uber wealthy, whatever you think it is. Most people do not want to participate. Hold on, let me turn this volume down. Boom, there we go. We don't want to participate in that world anymore. So we're looking for other jobs. And then on top of that, our cognitive abilities might be relaxing a bit as AI is handling the hard thinking. So if we're just for decades or generations, we've been participating in capitalism and our commodified labor, but we're just not made for it. And AI is handling it, and then our minds relax. Maybe we start gravitating towards our more creative side. And maybe AI can benefit from us gravitating towards a humanities focus, towards our most creative selves. And this is where the 5 roles came up, where as AI takes over most entry-level jobs, humans can maybe relax their more rigid selves and engage in their more creative side, and a side that lifts them up more. And so I think it's time for you to consider one of these 5 roles that only humans can fill. And when I share this with you, I believe that these will be the only place that humans can fill for a long time, And you then can lead AI with strategy, intuition, and soul, which is what we were made for anyway. So as we proceed, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you what you think your role might be, and I'll share mine. Here's the first role that I believe you can have. Doesn't matter if you have a technology background or not. I believe you can fill this role going forward, and it's going to sound weird. So the role, I'll give you the role and then the jobs that I think, a tech job and a non-tech job. So here's the role. I think the role going forward, I'm going to paste this into the comments. I think the role going forward is a curator of meaning. I have personally discovered that as I go out there, people are lost for meaning. Basically, what this means is AI is giving us more options, but you create the meaning. It's going to be a long time before AI can give you meaning. It can suggest. And if you've worked deeply with AI, I've written books with AI. I'm about to publish one book with AI. It gives a lot of options, even options for meaning. But it always stops shy and says, what meaning will you give it? You will choose what matters. You will filter the narratives. You will connect the dots with human nuance. Now, if you know AI, it can seem like it's creating a lot of synthetic thinking. It's connecting a lot of dots. But it's not till you sit back from a creative space and ponder, do you have this mystical meaning that only comes out in novels that used to be written or paintings that came from deep thinking, not just synthesis, but deep work. You can be a curator of meaning. Let me pull this up on the screen. Boom. You can be a curator of meaning. And so here's the tech-driven job that you could put together. Let's put this on the screen. Here's the tech-driven job that you could, boom, where'd it go? Oh, it did something weird. Forget the 2 and the 1, that's weird. The tech-driven job is this. You can be an AI content strategist. You can, if you have a technological inclination, you can go out and be a content strategist that utilizes AI. We're already doing this in a lot of ways, but the average company, no, Fortune 500 companies have plenty of people doing this. They have bots doing this. But for medium-tier companies, small businesses, they might use ChatGPT or Grok. As I just met a client today, he's a 3-person company. He's using Grok to write content. It's not a high-level strategy. It's decent. But there are tens of thousands of middle-tier companies that will need some humanities-driven person who understands some of the platforms enough, and you can create content strategy. You can use AI to generate options. Then you can filter those options and organize them in a meaningful way in a content pipeline for medium-tier companies. Now, here's the humanities-driven job that you can do. There are a lot of medium-tier companies. So as a curator of meaning, there are a lot of medium-tier companies that are actually hiring for an AI ethics consultant or a messaging. If you're an entrepreneur, you can be a messaging coach or a messaging consultant. What I mean is this. If you are looking at any content right now, you can tell which medium-sized companies are utilizing AI for their content. And you can tell, listen, I know that like you pulled this from AI, and I appreciate you using AI to create your content. I get it, but it's not making any sense to the humans consuming it. And so as a messaging coach or a messaging consultant, and I stumble into this a lot of times. A lot of our medium-sized companies are like, hey, I'm using AI, but I'm not really sure like how to get the most out of it. I step in and go, well, what is your content saying? You can help brands or thought leaders choose what stories they should be telling and why. I literally just sat with a real estate company and they didn't value this. I sat with them and I said, I want to do an interview with you because of the story it's telling. And they're like, I don't want to be on camera. And it's like, well, I get you don't want to be on camera, but can I at least capture your story? And then maybe I won't even put you on camera, but I can at least translate this to put your story on camera because stories sell. So the tech-driven job, you can be an AI content strategist, or the humanities-driven job, you can be an AI ethics consultant, and there's plenty of businesses hiring these, or in AI ethics in HR companies or in HR departments in these companies, they're hiring AI consultants. Or you can be a messaging coach or a narrative consultant in any small business company. It's like, well, who's going to hire that? Literally, I am out there selling this right now. What is your content saying? What is your brand saying? What is the message that is being relayed? This is absolutely critical because stories sell. And right now, there's a lot of noise, but not a lot of signal. You've heard the difference between signal and noise. There's a lot of noise, but not a lot of signal. And as you do any of these jobs as a curator of meaning, this is the one role. There's one role and two potential jobs here and many more. As a curator of meaning, there's going to be AI that puts out a lot of AI slop. They're calling it slop right now. That's noise. You can be a curator of meaning. So the action, here's the action I want you to do today. And I'm putting this in the comments. Here's the action I want you to do today. Here you go. Audit your own content, your social media, your email, the byline in your email, the profile in LinkedIn, in Facebook, in Instagram. I want you to go through it and ask yourself, what meaning am I curating here? Delete or rewrite anything unclear or misaligned. Are you selling your book? My book in my header right now is the Top 100 Dream Igniter. And I'm asking myself, is that the main thing I want to be marketing in a post-AI world? So audit your own content. Start taking action right now. If you're looking for a job, audit all of your content. Well, no, my Instagram's for me. No. What's your message to the world? Curate the whole thing. Curate what your Facebook page says, what your Twitch says, what your Snap says, what your Whatnot says, whatever platform you're on. Take a minute. If you think that you want to be a curator of meaning and you might want one of these post-AI jobs as a messaging coach or a messaging consultant or as an ethics coach, go through your own content, audit it, and ask yourself, what message am I communicating here? And if you can take that time and pause your brain from just trying to keep up with the Joneses and actually work on meaning, the greatest example of that is a good buddy of mine, Jason Kofke. Go find this guy. He has a phenomenal new channel that he just launched within the last week, and it's like time walks. And he's walking through Rome. He lives in Italy, and he's walking through Rome. He teaches art at an art college, and I think it's Venice, if I'm not mistaken, or Florence. I forget which one. But he's walking through Rome, and he's taking people on a trip through time. And he's taking his time to curate meaning because he contextualizes what they were thinking today when they built this beautiful cathedral versus how we think today if we are thinking how to curate that 130-second tweet and think that it will stand the test of time. The way these domes stand the test of time because they took generations not only to build it, but generations in the planning of it. Grant, I can't do that today. I get it. And I'm not telling you necessarily to slow down, but I am telling you to be a curator of meaning so that things can withstand the test of time. What's the second role and the two jobs under the second role? Let me drop this down for you. And I know it's a fancy terminology, but deal with it. I believe, let's do this right here. Let's do it right. I believe you should become or look at becoming a prompt alchemist. And as I go through these, tell me which ones you gravitate towards in a post-AI world. If you're thinking, what's my next role going to be? A prompt alchemist. Now, this is important. You've heard the term prompt engineer. Absolutely. Prompting is now an artistic craft. There is a framework for every AI, from OpenAI to Claude to Perplexity to Bolt.new. Every single one of them has a place for a prompt. And we just throw down a prompt. And yes, you can do some vibe coding, but vibe coding often takes a moment. There's a moment in vibe coding where you have a moment to craft, not just throw out some prompt, but actually to craft A prompt. You will get better outputs from AI if you have a well-crafted prompt, and you can ask ChatGPT for a prompt. But I want you to review it. I want you to take time with it. I want you to ask yourself, is this a good prompt? See, prompting is a craft, and it will become more of a craft. Right now, there's a ton of AI slop going out there. There's a bunch of people making huge side hustle money with their AI prompts and their apps that they're just rolling out, sure. But when you get under the hood from a code perspective, it's actually a bunch of slop and it has to be rebuilt. So they get the first 100, the first 500 users and make decent money and then sell that out. Good for them. There's a gold rush. But you are looking for your future role in a post-AI world. You're not trying to just get in on that gold rush per se. That's not what today's about. We can talk about that in some other time, how to get in on the gold rush. But that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is how to maximize your role. So a prompt alchemist. Prompts are basically brushstrokes with intention. It shapes the AI outputs with your own emotional intelligence. So here's the tech-driven job. And I know you've heard it. It is a prompt engineer for brands and tools that are apps. Yes, you can become a prompt engineer. You can craft templates. I have several of my own templates for prompt engineering. In fact, a lot of the tools that I'm working on for consumers right now, it's basically a simple AI agent, but my intellectual property is the prompt. Because AI agents they're kind of dumb machines. But if your prompt is the secret sauce, your prompt is the intellectual property. So you can be a good prompt engineer. In fact, you probably saw headlines where Mark Zuckerberg was offering $100 million. You did not hear me stutter. $100 million bonuses to prompt engineers that would come over from ChatGPT to Facebook, Meta. So obviously the tech-driven job is a prompt engineer. Now here is the humanities-driven side that you can do for small, medium-sized companies if you are an entrepreneur, or medium-sized companies, a contractor, prompt writing consultants. I can boot up, and I did. I have a company that has a tax AI agent that I'm not going to get into the details and nuances of it, but they have a beautiful AI agent that they're working with. And we got paid, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my kind of subtitles here. We got paid about $4,000 to not build the AI agent. Building the AI agent took me an hour. But the prompt has taken me weeks. And as a consultant, I take pride in my ability to communicate. If you know how to communicate, if you know how to be a public speaker, if you know how to clearly articulate thoughts, you actually have an edge for prompt writing because you are clearly communicating down to the wire, down to the very formatting of what that AI should do. You could charge very good money for companies that already know, hey, I'm trying to create this AI agent. We saw this with websites. A lot of AI agents that could build, or AI website design came out. And a lot of people are like, well, I shouldn't have to pay you thousands of dollars for a website. I'll just do this cheap, easy AI builder. And they do it. And then they immediately call us 2 or 3 weeks later because they can't get it to do what they want it to do. And they can't get this AI website builder to do what they want to do because they don't know how to prompt it. We know how to prompt it, A, because we're web designers. We know what to tell it. But B, we are craftsmen and craftswomen of prompts. So you don't have to have a strong technological background to hire yourself out as an AI prompt writer. That's something you can do. So being a prompt alchemist is something I believe you can do in a post-AI world. Obviously, as a prompt engineer, which is very technically driven, you do have to have a technology background for that. But you could be a prompt writing consultant for companies and not have a strong technology background, but know how to format an output for what they want for marketing or for what they want for content, or if they want to come up with HR policies and you want to work with AI for HR policies, or if you want them to be able to ask questions of the AI agent on their website and get better outputs from the AI agent on their website. Again, you don't need a technological background. You just need to have a strong idea of how to prompt that thing to get the right outputs. Because if you're helping a medium-sized plumbing company, they might know that AI is there. They might even figure out how to embed AI on their website, but that's as far as it goes. After that, they're lost. After that, they need help, and it doesn't have to be highly technical help. It just needs to be someone who knows some of these platforms well enough and knows what the output is that they want to make it just a bit more intelligent. Okay. What other two jobs and role? What's the other role? The third role is this: an architect of intelligence. Now, this sounds super fancy. What's the architect of intelligence in a post-AI world where you don't need a technological background to make money and serve other people? Well, basically, you define the system. You set the why. You set the rules of like why we're doing this. You basically outline the ethical guidelines or the parameters of what we're going to focus on. And you create accountability structures for AI, which just sounds really weird. Now, in a technological context, the technological job, if you do have a technological background, the technological job for this is a workflow automations designer. You know Zapier, you know Make.com, you know N8N. And we do know this. And it's basically giving very clear parameters to the AI of what they're going to get into and what they're not. And it's an automation. Most automations have been doing this for a long time. But if you are a humanities person, maybe you have an HR background, maybe you work with medium-sized companies, they just want this AI to do everything. Here's the job for a non-technical person as an architect of intelligence. If you can go into a medium-sized company that is rolling out AI and building AI systems, and you don't have a technological background, you can be an AI policy consultant. You can tell them, here's the parameters. You need to tell and put in your prompt. Basically, you would be consulting the prompt engineers. And you'd say, make sure you write these exclusions into the prompt. And these will be, like I'm telling you, prompts very soon will be legally binding and suable. I'm going to sue this person for their errors and omissions on their AI prompt. You'll see. And so companies are going to want HR consultants or AI ethics policy consultants or framework builders. And you will help the company define their ethics use of AI. And the implementation of this will be, you'll sit in a meeting and the prompt engineers will kind of go through the prompts before they deploy it. And this person will sit there and consult them and tell them, hey, listen, you're going to want to write an exclusion here and you're going to exclude ADA compliance. So if anyone has ADA in there, maybe someone has a disability or someone is in a protected class, they're going to have to incorporate that into the AI, and that HR consultant is going to have to step in and acknowledge that. This is a very important role that has a non-technical background that will get paid tons of money. In a post-AI world, there's longevity here. So as an architect, the role, both technical and non-technical, the role is an architect of intelligence. The technical version of this is a workflow automations designer and prompt engineers as well. But the non-technical version of this are ethics, AI ethics, policy coaching, and framework builders as they sit and guide the actual inclusions and exclusions on an AI prompt. This is very important. You don't even have to know AI. You just have to know that there's going to need this role where you go, hey, let's put some guardrails in here. If someone is deploying an AI for marketing, you want to make sure they're not including the vector database or a database for employees or the CRM. Or maybe the CRM, but maybe not the employee database. You're just going to be the person that puts the guardrails in there and say, no, this is just for marketing, and we got to keep it narrow that way. And the prompt engineers themselves will probably be thinking about that, but that's a role. So an action you can take today is this. Diagram. If you're not technical, that's okay. You can be not technical and do this. Diagram, I'm telling you, just in freaking Canva, a single AI-driven workflow or customer journey in your business or someone else's business. A coffee shop, a local plumber. Draft a customer journey and identify what values should guide it. This sounds woo-woo. Yes, because AI is so powerful and out of control, medium-sized companies will want someone who's thinking about, hey, when you program an AI to get the most optimal output for the cost of coffee, and suddenly it starts exploiting farmers in Costa Rica, it's going to undercut. It's going to basically, you can have AI agents that do the buying and selling of coffee beans in Costa Rica, and you've programmed that AI to get the most optimal optimal output. So the AI starts trading against itself and undercutting it until it senses that farmers are willing to bend, and an actual human farmer lowers its price by 50%. They're taking a major hit financially, and they just trade it with themselves. That's unethical. Yes, it would be. And AI has the power to do that. So you create guardrails. And those guardrails, as a consultant in this space, helps them. So your homework will be, can I outline or identify a customer journey and identify what value should be programmed into that AI? You can totally do that. So here's the fourth role, and the technological and non-technological jobs within that role. Here we go. This is a really fancy one. It's a translator of worlds. What the heck? The role that has two jobs that you need to pay attention to is this. It's the translator of worlds. What is that? This is the bridge from AI to humanity. It converts the data, insights, and the synthetic outputs that AI puts together into metaphor, story, and impact, because humans digest nuance, not numbers. So I just told you a story just a moment ago about a coffee farmer and how that coffee farmers could get undercut by AI. I told you a story. I gave you a metaphor. And that landed the lesson home. But AI could have just told you. If you asked AI, what are the risks of using AI in coffee purchasing? Well, AI could possibly bet against itself, lowering its prices until a human bidder actually underbid everyone and basically undercut their own prices too far. And then you got a 50% cut that hurts their business, but you got a major discount. That's unethical. I told you that story. Being a translator of these worlds is going to be important because this stuff is happening so fast. So this role, and there's a technical job and a non-technical job, so stick with me. The technical job, bear with me on this, is a copywriter. The technical job is a copywriter for AI apps and internal documentation. Because a lot of medium-sized, a lot of companies are going to start using AI for a lot of internal In fact, I just consulted with a company yesterday, and this company handles, I'm just going to speak in generalities here, handles OF models. And this person's job is to translate the business into systems. And they were giving me some feedback about the company. And then I realized, man, they had used AI for a lot of this stuff, but no one had the intrinsic meaning. And this person's role is a translator of worlds. This person's role is to take this output, which is actually a really good structure, but they're using terminologies that no one vetted or filtered. So they're rewriting this document with human nuance. This is the translator of worlds. This is a technical job. But here's the non-technical job. The non-technical job for being a translator of worlds is this. Let me put it on the screen down here. And the non-technical job is AI-powered storytelling. You use AI to help clients find metaphors, origin stories, mission statements. Right now, a lot of medium-sized companies are asking ChatGPT, here's my backstory. What should be my mission statement? And the mission statement comes out, and it's bland. It's accurate, but it's bland. You could be a messaging coach. We talked about that in one of the roles above, a messaging coach of sorts, but you help extract story from the business, integrate those stories into AI in the form of a prompt, or incorporate, just dictate it. You could dictate it and tell the story, and then work with the human and the AI to navigate how to craft something that's more curated and crafted. The role is a translator of worlds. And you might have a small business that, like I was giving the example of this business I was consulting yesterday, they get a lot of output, but it has no meaning. They don't understand what it means. But you can tell this is a good framework, but no one's adopting the framework because there's no story behind it. There's no metaphor behind it. And there's not the story extracted from the company input into this material. And when you extract a story from a company and input it into AI, you do more than just extract the story. What can AI? This is a weird thought, but I don't know if you've noticed this, but as a business consultant, I've seen this. When you put a story into AI, it not only has a deeper understanding of the questions you ask it, but it has a tribal language. Your company has a certain tribal language. You might use the word workflows and it means one thing, but another company use workflows and it means something else. You might use the word flow instead of workflow, and it means something else entirely. And when you input a story into AI, whether you dictate it, whether you type it out, whether you just upload a document, whatever it is, whether it listens to a transcription from a Zoom call, when you put that into AI, it can extract like culture creating. Each business wants to create its own culture. And as a translator of worlds, this role is going to be critical because the average small business owner will go, why aren't my people adopting this document? It's really thorough. Yes, but you didn't vet it for the metaphors, the stories, or the vocabulary. And so you're going to help them input story, mission statements, metaphors, and you're going to make this consumable because the stuff that AI is putting out is so powerful and high level, but also so antiseptic or sterile that it's not being consumed by the human mind, which wants something tastier. It wants something livelier. So you can be a translator of worlds and from a technical perspective, be a copywriter for AI apps, but from a non-technical perspective, be an AI-powered storytelling consultant or coach. Give that thing meaning. So here's the homework I want you to do today. I want you to do this. Let me put it on the screen here, and you can see this on YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever else you are. Here's the homework I want you to do. I want you to take one technical concept from your niche. We have the web design company. What's one technical concept from the web design company? What's one technical concept from the creator company that we have, the influencer company? I want you to take one technical concept from your company. And you can have a soft skills company. You can have a plumbing company. There's still something technical there. And I want you to write a metaphor or an analogy that would help a child understand it. That's all this job is. When you get into a post-AI world, this stuff is going to be so complex, even for the employees, because you're going to have a department in these companies that are going to be technologically driven, and then you're going to have customer service, and then you're going to have HR, and then you're going to have like the backdrop people, the people keeping up, the maintenance crew. They don't know what's going on. They're going to need someone to translate the complexities into super simple concepts. And so this non-technical job takes a technical concept from your niche and writes a metaphor or an analogy that would help a child understand that. This is a powerful job you can do in a non-technical world. Here's the last one, and this one's highfalutin. I don't care. I think it's important. I think you need to hear this. So there's the role in the two jobs. Netza says, oh, boom, here. Netza jumps in. Let me get his comment here. Netza Rodriguez, my man, says, yes, sir, say it out loud. Which concept stuck with you, Netza? I don't know which concept you're referring to, but I'd love to be able to hype it. So Netza, thanks for your comment. Let me know which concept you're referring to because they do need to hear that out loud. Here's the last role and the two jobs that go with this last role. The last role is this. I call it, and just bear with it. I don't care if you think it's woo-woo. Suck it up. This is important stuff. It's called the guardian of the soul. Here's what it is. The tech-driven job for this is specific. This role in general helps protect what AI can't replicate. AI can replicate a lot, and this is new to people. To be a guardian of the human soul, the humanity, the guardian of the humanity of a business or the soul of a business. These two roles, the tech job and the non-tech job, will be in place so that mid-tier companies still have a human flavor. It will ensure that art, ritual, empathy, ethics, justice, cause-related things will remain as human-led frontiers. Netza says, I just got on the feed. I need to watch the full stream. Love that you're speaking on AI and business. Absolutely, man. Yeah, go back and listen to some of the things. I appreciate it. This is the fifth, the last of 5 roles, and then the 2 jobs, one if you're technologically driven and one if you're not. So the guardians of the soul, the guardians of the humanity of a business will be a role. Now, you're not going to sell yourself like that necessarily. Maybe you could. But it's going to protect what AI can't replicate: art, ritual, humanity, empathy, ethics, what you stand for. Consumers will still purchase stuff based on what you stand for. And that will come through a lot of things, whether it's the marketing and the media and the messaging, or whether it's the business and brand values that you stand for and just put it out there. People will consume that way. So the tech-driven side is this. The tech-driven job for this will be known, I'm going to drop it down here, as a technology curator. You will build or promote apps, both internally and externally. The job could be, you could work for a mid-level company, a mid-tier company, and promote certain apps, certain courses, certain journals that merge AI with mindfulness, with ritual, with purpose. You're seeing a lot of these apps roll out right now in your feed that are about digital well-being, and they block off apps for certain hours of the day so you can focus and get your time back. These productivity apps aren't just about output anymore. They're about mindfulness and deep work. You're seeing a lot of this. And whether you work inside of a company, you could be the tech curator. Maybe you have a specific engineering job, but your role or your title, your secondary role is you curate the app stack, the technology stack, based on inbuilt mindfulness, ritual, or purpose-driven components. Asana has a lot of these. If you look into it, ClickUp has some of these. That's the technology-driven. But I want to drop this last one on you, and this is out of left field, and I do not think you can pitch yourself this way. So we need to find better terminology for it. But I call it the Hope Punk thought leader. Hope Punk is a digital movement that is the opposite or antithesis of cyberpunk. Hope Punk is putting values first, community first, nature first, but encouraging AI. So encouraging that when you deploy a piece of AI, that piece of AI does not overwhelm the aesthetic, the functionality of the natural organism. So here's an example. I want to talk to my plants, and it's a project. It's a weekend project I'm working on. I'm getting a sensor. I'm dropping in. I'm attaching that sensor to an API, and I'm letting that API basically have a voice built on 11 labs, and that voice on 11 labs will talk to me, and I will basically talk to my plants. And these plants have a voice because their roots grow, the nutrients, the soil has needs. It's an interconnected ecosystem. And I want to be able to talk to it. I want to chat to my bonsai and say, hey, what do you need? I want to talk to my banana plant and say, hey, what do you need? Hope Punk is the thing that doesn't just make it all tech and ugly. I will not only find a sensor, I'll find a sensor that doesn't look ugly, that looks aesthetically pleasing or will hide itself, but also works. And then when I build my prompt, I'll give that prompt a certain aesthetic, a certain attitude, and that will be friendly. It will be kind. It will be encouraging. It will have humility. It will have parameters. A Hope Punk thought leader builds platforms based on values first leadership and AI. There's another example of this. There's the red pill movement all through TikTok that's capturing angsty young men who are already frustrated about a lot of things in society. Red pill movement capitalizes on that anger, tells them to get fit first, and then eventually it makes them angsty, and there's a hustle culture and a grind culture, and eventually they are isolating themselves from the rest of society except for their own echo chambers. Well, there's a green pill movement happening. And the green pill movement talks to the same target audience, frustrated, angsty young men who don't feel like they have a place in society anymore. Yes, introduces them to health and fitness, but the side lessons are self-empowerment, not you got to do it alone, right? And then it takes them down this funnel, right? The green pill movement is to help cause a piece of growth to happen inside of them. This is the comparison of Hope Punk to cyberpunk is green pill to red pill. Hope Punk encourages a more optimistic view of the future. They build platforms and solutions that encourages humanity first, but still leverages. It doesn't limit AI at all. It creates this interface where, no, we're totally benefiting from AI, but we're making sure that that ends up to more peace moments, more moments of time in nature, not more output only. And we can get more output only from AI. In a Hope Punk future as opposed to a cyberpunk future. The cyberpunk future is we just become an interface for the AI, the major powers that be, the companies that be, milk us for every hour. They expect that now that I have AI, I now can do the work of 10 men, 10 women, and it's just set to go. And so I'm still working 40 hours a week. But a Hope Punk world says, I don't care if you get 40, 80, 100 hours of output, but you do that on 20 hours of time. I'm not going to monitor your time. Just make sure. So you're not commodified labor anymore. You're commodified output. How would you like to be paid for commodified output? Well, if I can do 4 to 10 to 20 hours a week, and if I want to work more, great. But AI, that's what a Hope Punk thought leader does. And so this idea of being a guardian of the soul could be a person that's reinforcing this future. You could be forgive my parallel, but the Joe Rogan of the green pill movement. The green pill movement is a more abundant, robust future that embraces AI, but also talks about how that can be infused, interviews people that are showing how we can infuse that. We're not just going to keep shit talking AI and productivity, because that's good too. So these are the 5 roles. What are they real quick? Number one, a prompt alchemist. I'm sorry. Number 1 is the curator of meaning. And then there's the 2 jobs of that. Go up and look at the comments for those. And I can put this in the comment feed. Number 2, being a prompt alchemist, not just a prompt engineer. You can be non-technical and know how to prompt something for curated artistic meaning. Number 3, an architect of intelligence. Yes, that could be a workflow automations designer, but also on a non-technical perspective, you could be an AI ethics policy coach or consultant or curator within a company. Number 4, you could be the translator of worlds. And technologically, if you have a tech background, that could be a UX copywriter for AI apps or for your business, or even for internal functions. But the non-technical version of this is you could be an AI-powered storytelling consultant or coach for that business, where you extract metaphors and meaning for the users of that thing, because the technology is going to go over most people's head. You can make it more consumable by taking and translating the world of technology and AI into something more meaningful and consumable for people. And lastly, the guardian of the soul. You could be a tech stack curator that focuses on curating positive people-first technologies, which are out there. It still has productivity and output, but it still encourages digital well-being or conscientiousness. Or you could be a hope punk thought leader, someone putting out content that reinforces this positive use of AI that's not just labor-driven, but it's output-driven. Let me share my screen real quick. I got to show this to you. What we're looking for is this. AI creates speed, scale, and logic, but the human role is to give meaning, value, and emotional resonance. AI can create data synthesis, but the humans create ethical filtering and narrative choice. AI can create task automation, absolutely, and suggest task automation, but the human role is creativity and human connection, making sure that there are nodes within any automation to interface with the human. You can see this if you're looking at TikTok. Forgive me, I can't share my screen right now. Check us out on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're going to find me. The AI can create bulk content creation, but the human role is to intentionally curate which of that belongs in the story that's being told. AI can do prediction and optimization. The human role does soul-infused imagination and vision. Listen, this is super important that you know that you have a place, that you know that we're not being replaced. We are repositioning ourselves. We're not being displaced. We are given the opportunity to reposition ourselves, to steward the human essence in a machine-dominated world. The real asset is not ours in. It's the vision and values that are the output, because output is going to increase. We're going to automate. We're going to basically put robotics into it. We're going to put AI into it. And yes, the output is going to supersede us tenfold. We are not even going to be able to comprehend the AI agents we do. In fact, right now, I have an AI agent that gives me a tweet and a thread morning and night. That's 4 tweets and threads. I can't even keep up with it. And some of it doesn't match. And now I need to put guardrails into it because I can't, and I'm not keeping up with it because each tweet that it suggests doesn't resonate, which means I need to curate my prompt. I need to curate what I'm asking of it, or I need to ask myself, is this even worth it? Because it's not necessarily humane. Yes, it can keep up with the flow out there. Netza says, I agree. We are repositioning ourselves. In our website company, we're repositioning ourselves. Personally and individually, we're repositioning ourselves. So this matters because a lot of you feel like you're being displaced and replaced. This matters because a lot of you feel like you don't know what's next. But these 5 roles, and I won't go through them again right now. Please scroll up or check the comments, or I'll just put them all as a single comment in this live. Once we're done, I'll just drop the 5 roles, and then I'll drop the jobs you can look for. And you can curate yourself, and they are non-technical jobs that you can find. And to reposition yourself, as Netza Rodriguez says right here, to reposition yourself to be ready and to have a more abundant future, because the real asset is not your output. We are no longer the stewards of output. AI is outputting way more. As I just told you about my tweet and my thread AI agent, it gives me 4 a day, which I cannot keep up with. I can't keep up. We won't be able to keep up with it, but that's not bad. Your role is changing. Our role is to give those guidance or suggest cutting them because it's unnecessary AI slop or because it just needs a little prompting and curation to give it more soul. That's the role of humans. Those are the roles of humans going forward. I want you to comment which role you think applies to you. Nicole says, boom, Nicole's jumping on watching from Facebook. She says, I think it's interesting that we have to not only create a prompt in ChatGPT and AI, but we also have to interpret it when other people use us, which puts us in a unique situation. Exactly. And as humans, we know when we see AI content, that person hasn't been putting out anything well thought out, well structured in a long time. And suddenly you see this nice outline and it's in a voice that's not necessarily them. We know it could be good, but it's not them. And we have this negative reaction to it. Instead of a negative reaction, we should see, oh, that's my role. My role is to help them create better prompts, get more articulate with themselves and others. Our relationship with AI should do at least one thing. And that is make us more articulate to our fellow man and our fellow woman. Because we have to be articulate to AI. Why don't we do the same grace to our people? We get really detailed with AI and we tell it, we need this, we need this, we need it to say this way. Why don't we get like that with our friends? Sometimes that's not good if you're sitting around having a beer, having a drink, hanging out at night. Of course not. But it's very important when we're in professional settings that we give our humans the same grace and respect that we give our AI, right? That's not too much to ask. Netza says, I agree with Nicole. It's a very unique situation, but that's not a problem. That's our challenge. And if we see that problem, that's an opportunity and that's a sign of where we're going to be. Last concept, and I'll leave you with this. Future Shock. Fantastic book. Get this, written in the 70s, 50, 60 years ago. This book, Future Shock, was basically this. It called out the technology would accelerate so much that some people living and functioning with technology would encounter people not working with technology well. And it would fold on itself and create almost a culture shock. And that culture shock would create conflict between those who understand the tech and are working with the tech and those who do not. And that culture shock of the future folding on the current present would create this thing that he called future shock. We cannot handle it. ADHD people, in my opinion, were the species, the human species preparing for this technological shift because ADHD people can handle these inputs fairly well, especially if they know how to channel their thinking. I believe ADHD people were birthed by the species intelligently foreseeing that it would have this problem, where a lot of average people who are used to working at a very slow pace were encountering technology that was happening quicker than they could have imagined. And ADHD people are made for these 5 roles. So anyone can take on these 5 roles, I believe. Anyone can, but I believe ADHD people have a special gift to do these 5 roles that I listed above. And again, I will summarize these later. I think they're phenomenal. The guardians of the soul. Let me try to remember them. The guardians of the soul, the curator of humanity. What are they? I'll just list them off again because I think they're so important. The curator of meaning, the prompt alchemist, the architect of intelligence, super important. The translator of worlds, super important. And the guardians of the soul and those jobs that correlate to that. I think they're supremely, supremely important. Why am I talking about any of this? Because most of you are having an existential crisis. I know I am. The entrepreneurs I know are just pivoting. They're pivoting. They're staying light on their feet. They're learning new skills. They're teetering and playing with every AI they can. And they're trying to decide how they're going to sell this. And that's the gold rush, right? How can I sell an AI agent? That's the gold rush. But for the long term, for those of you losing your jobs or not able to get jobs because you train for something else entirely and AI is displacing it, let me encourage you. There's a place for your skills. There's a role for you. And I highly, highly, highly encourage you review these and skill up. And it's not just technical. You do not have to have a technical background to thrive in the coming future. And I am also encouraging you for this one reason alone. I believe those who are hopeful, optimistic, full of gratitude, full of organic inclinations. You want to go outside, you want to walk barefoot, but you also love AI and you love dabbling with that. You are the hope of tomorrow. For those who kept their head down and thought, I just got this future, and they came out of college or they came out of their last certification on LinkedIn and they realized there's no place for me. For those of us, oh, Netza says, learn new skills to enhance my business and self. Absolutely. For those of us who are nimble enough to stay optimistic, to stay hopeful, that see a hope punk future where we, yes, have every leverage point of AI, but it encourages a more organic life. It encourages a life outside, a life of travel, a life of abundance. If you can see that future, you're my people. And I'm talking about this today because we need you to help us, help the rest of humanity enter into that hopeful future. I call this igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own.